Hey babies, hey babies, hey babies, hey babies, hey babies. Hi everyone. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy Friday. Hi everyone. How's everybody doing?
It's good. It's weird that it's the last week of the regular season. It's just flown
That
by.
is weird. I agree. That is weird. What'd you do for New Year's, by the way? I didn't think I asked you.
My girlfriend hosted a party.
Sweet. Good
Uh,
party or bad party?
Great party. Great party. What are you talking
Good
about?
answer. I don't know. Good answer. I don't
Great
know why I'm
party.
testing you in 2025, but all right.
As you know, my new tribe is my run club. So that
Oh,
was
right. Yeah,
that
yeah.
was a lot of those people, and then we got up and ran the next day. Ran a little 5K.
Whoa, look at you. Jan 1 5K.
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
I don't know if I've said this on the show or said to you. I'm training for marathon number 3 officially.
Oh, you are?
I'm in week 2 of training for that. So yeah,
Which one?
So I want to run it. I wanted to run a spring marathon, which means you train all right now through the winter because I like training in the cold. So I am doing the Jim Thorpe marathon in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, which is like 3 hours away, but it lined up well with training and all that fun stuff.
I may or may not say hi to you on the route for that one. We'll see.
I don't anticipate seeing anybody on that one.
Okay.
Actually,
Yeah.
so you're good. You're
if
clear.
You had said like the New York City Marathon, the Boston Marathon, but Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. I don't know. Maybe I'll dress like an old football player. That'd be funny. Just stand on the side of the road with like a leather helmet.
I mean, I literally, it's funny you're saying this. When I was running the 5K, one of my running friends literally was like, "Hey, you should read his biography. It's really good." And he sent it to me. So like there you go. Yes, exactly.
All right.
So
very good.
Anyway, it's very isolated. It is not the Marine Corps Marathon.
No, it is not. All right. I bet it's beautiful though. Well, why would I say that? I don't know where this is. All right. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Who knows?
It's middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. It's probably is.
Y'all tell me. I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Let's get to the stuff. All right. Washington, Dallas this weekend. Let me do the newsy stuff first. Then we'll get into the game. Kliff was asked about his future.
Yep.
Gave a, I don't know, I thought was honest answer about it. He seemed a little surprised by the question. I don't know why, considering it's being reported and, unless your head's in the sand, and like that's going to get around and someone's going to ask you, but he acted a touch surprised by the question initially. And was asked, do you want to be a head coach again? And his answer was at some point.
Yeah.
And then he was asked, are you going to interview with the Bears again? Remember, he did last year.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't answer that question because his name is linked to somebody who would be interviewed by the Bears. He worked at USC last year with Caleb Williams. He was not the offensive coordinator. That's been confused here a little bit. He was basically like a consultant, but obviously he worked there. He knows him, and that's the future there, Caleb Williams. So, and then he was just asked, in general about coaching again. And his answer was in line with what I have, my understanding of it. And I don't want to speak for him, obviously. And I don't know what he's going to want to do. And I don't know how much money they would throw at him. So I think that's really the biggest issue is he said, my joy for the game's been rekindled here. I really like being here. I don't think he was just saying that. He's reiterated this a few times. I think he had he has an interesting way of dealing with a rough go in Arizona. He went to Thailand, but like whatever.
I'll say he had a perfectly human response when you have a rough go of it.
100%.
A bunch of money.
Yeah.
Like I loved that he went there after.
Yeah.
It was like screw coaching for a little bit.
Same, Kliff. Same. I think what I've learned about him about this year was, I think, this is, how do I put this? So he gets judged because of what he looks like. He doesn't, he doesn't look like a traditional, ogre. And he doesn't tell you, like some of the older coaches will tell you how they grind. He doesn't really talk about that. He's got a house in Architectural Digest. He kind of leapfrogged into a position into the NFL head coaching circles that's unusual. And what I've learned about him is he actually is a grinder, is a video nerd, does really just like coaching, is very competitive. And so he's a very different person than I think was perceived to me. And so when he says, I got my joy back, I think he appreciates that he's being appreciated for coaching again. Like this team, if they score 24 points this weekend, will be the number 2 all-time scoring team in Commanders history ever. They can't get to number 1 unless they score 80 in Dallas this weekend, but they can be number 2, and 24 is a totally reasonable number for this team to score. And I don't at me on it 17 games and all that stuff. That's just the reality of it. They're number 3 right now, all time. They could pass the 91 team for more points scored. Like Dan Quinn had talked about, this guy is a tremendous game planner, play caller, all that stuff. Said he didn't know much about him, brought him in. My gut says he's not going anywhere. Now, that said, I don't know. I've never asked him, nor do I want to ask him. We're in the middle of a season. I understand why he was asked. I'm not saying anything about that. It's just not my job to ask him a question like that. It's something like that maybe will be dealt with after the season. Will he interview with other people? Probably. Off of what happened here, I wouldn't be surprised. He's been a head coach before. He is well liked. Look at what happened in 1 year with this offense. Of course, there's going to be interest in him to go somewhere else. I don't think he's going to for a number of reasons. One, I think he likes working with this quarterback. 2, I think he likes it here. 3, he's still under contract with the Cardinals.
That's right. Yep.
So the Bears or whoever would have to offer him a lot of money, like a ton, to get him to forego what is basically the write-off between the Cardinals and the Commanders contracts that he has. So I actually don't expect him to leave this year. I expect him to work with Jaden Daniels next year, because when he was asked about the coaching thing, one of the things he had said in a previous answer right before it was, we are at just the beginning stage of getting consistent again with our offense, which was a signal of sometimes these guys just say out loud what their intentions are. I'm not going anywhere, guys. I actually like what we're building here. And, it wasn't an answer to that other question, but it was an answer of honesty. So unless someone overwhelms him with an offer, which could always happen, I actually don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I agree in general, but you still just don't know what could pop up, right? If one of these teams that does end up with the number 1 overall pick then comes to him and says, we want you, and he gets to draft the quarterback that he wants, whether that's Shador or whoever, you just never know with that. Sure. But when it comes to the Bears situation, I look at that one and I go, does he really want to walk into that dumpster fire? I mean, I get it. It's Caleb and there's all these offensive weapons, but the Bears have approached the same levels that Washington was approaching before Dan Snyder sold the team. Where it was, do you want to touch that franchise? Because once you do, it's the reverse car wash. We used to talk about it all the time, where you build yourself back up, you go walk over to the franchise, then all of a sudden you walk out and you're dirtier than ever. So that's the other part of this. The other thing is there was a precedent set with this team last year where they wanted to at least interview Ben Johnson to be the head coach. And he said, you know what? I'm happier here. I want to stay here in Detroit. And there was a reaction to that, but it has literally happened in the last year where somebody said, I'm good. I want to stay here. And if Kliff wants to do that, I would totally not be surprised.
There's another thing he said. This goes back weeks ago. This is why I attend all these press conferences, because you never know what someone's going to say that's going to matter later. And he was asked, because they played the Cardinals, he was asked about, working with Kyler Murray. And he just blurted out, I bet my career on him. So you don't think he's betting his career on this guy?
Yeah, right.
If that's how he feels about it, that's how invested he is, that's how much he believes in certain people, why would you walk from this guy? Yeah. Especially if you're not going to be overwhelmed by money. And I think where it's something like you just would be crazy to turn that down. And if that happens, well, good luck and Godspeed. But assuming that he doesn't get paid more than Sean McVay, okay, or someone's not going to do that, then I actually think he's going to stay here for that reason alone, because I actually do think he's a grinder. He's a football lifer. I didn't realize this about him until he got here. And he's got a quarterback who's of the exact same mindset, who has a ceiling that is astronomically high. Why would you walk away from that? And you could call him Ben Johnson or whatever you want to call him. I would just say, this is smart to stick around for another year and play it out with this quarterback, because we can all see what the future potentially could be with him.
Well, I think, too, look at the vibe of that Lions coaching staff and compare it to this one. There's a lot of potential head coaches on that staff and former players. This one, it's a little bit of the same. And we went through this at the beginning of the year where it was like, oh, their offensive coaches it's an all-star staff, essentially, because they spared no expense. And not to mention, they set them up, if he does want to go be a head coach, that the next person can step right in and be the offensive coordinator, whoever that ends up being. But I also think, though, they have all of these minds, these offensive minds, that he probably enjoys it a little bit, right? And to your point, too, from before, what team is going to overwhelm him with an offer that he's not getting paid from Arizona? And as I said, situationally, who's better than this? Like, I just don't see it. And like, I think Jaden is 90% of that reason, though, right? Like, we've heard how much he works, how much he improves, how much he literally improves within a game. The fact that he's now like the most clutch quarterback in franchise history. Like, there's just a lot of things here that if Kliff wanted to walk away from, I think it would take a lot for him to do it. I also look at by the way, like the openings that are going to be available this offseason, like pretty bad compared to years past. Like it's pretty bad.
Is the Giants open? I don't know. Tennessee might have the number 1 pick, but they just hired a coach. Right. Like, I don't know. The Raiders, do you want the Raiders job? I mean, he did interview there. Remember, he was close to going there in the first place. I don't know. Do they have a high enough pick where they get Shador and he's interested in something like that? I don't know. You know, I have a feeling Dion's going to hand pick whoever is coaching his son. And that may be Kliff and that may not be Kliff. Remember, he said really nice things about Kingsbury. That's another one you got to watch. He said really nice things about Kingsbury earlier this year too. So I don't know. The Jets job, does he really want that? I mean,
who wants to go? I mean, that's
toxic.
Not
that I think Rodgers will be there, but still, and who knows? Maybe there'll be public pressure on New England to make a change. Does he all of a sudden look good to Drake May? Like, I don't know. So I think all those things are all kind of in play. My gut says he's not going anywhere unless someone overwhelms him. That's what I think is going to be the case. Yeah. All right, let me get into the game this weekend. So earlier this week, Dan Quinn immediately on Monday said, getting the 6 seed matters to us. We want to get that. We want to go in playing better. We want to have momentum, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yesterday were the coordinators. Kliff talked about his job and was asked about that too. But Joe Witt Jr. was also talking about this. And I got to tell you, as someone who just loves this franchise and hates the fact that we just kind of have poo-pooed this rivalry a little bit through the years, it was nice to hear someone vociferously say the things that he said yesterday. And I don't even know that it was done purposefully, honestly. I think he just blurted it out, but it made me so happy. So I want you to listen to this. This is Joe Witt Jr. yesterday being asked about, does momentum matter? Does getting the 6 seed matter? And all of that stuff. So here he was talking yesterday.
I know there's different schools of thought on this. Do you believe in momentum?
In what regard?
Winning the game heading into the playoffs.
Yes, I do.
How important is that to you?
When I was fortunate enough to win a Super Bowl, we won our last 2 games. We went on and won, I think it's important. I think but at the same time, when you get into the next tournament, all right, you'll handle each game at a time, but you always want to go in with a win. Like, you just positive vibes comes with winning. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's important for us to do that.
To that point, how do you balance trying to make sure that guys are healthy going into the playoffs and obviously wanting to keep that momentum going?
Oh, that's not my job. That's Dan's job. He's the one that handles that. So
as far as calling defenses,
I'm going to call it to win. I mean, it is. We need to win this football game. All right. Period. That's what it is. It's a divisional game. It's the Dallas Cowboys. We keep the 6 seed. We need to win this football game. So everything else doesn't really matter. We're going to do, from my standpoint, we're going to do everything we can to win this football game.
Okay. I love this guy. All right. One, like he's hitting me at all the right spots there. Number one. Two, we don't have coaches saying this in recent years a lot, which I think is good. Let's start getting back in that realm again, that it matters to beat Dallas, to beat Philadelphia, to beat the Giants. It matters, even if the game doesn't have a ton on the line. And three, like, I know, like, Dan gets a lot of play and Kliff gets a lot of play. This guy every week brings it in these press conferences. I've been saying this from the get-go with him. You're going to love this guy. He sounds like a head coach, an old school. He sounds like Tomlin to me, where it's kind of no nonsense. Like, why would you even ask me a question like that? I love this dude. I love him, and I loved hearing a coach yell out loud, "We need to beat the Dallas Cowboys." I loved it.
I mean, if you know, you know. He has the best press conference every week. Like, every week it's the best one. Like, if you don't know that by now, I would say tune into my show because I air it every single week. His press conference is bar none the best one because he keeps it real the entire time. Kliff's are good, but he doesn't reveal a lot. That's why yesterday I think was big because he actually told the truth. But Witz is always the best one, and he's right. It's not his job to be worried about health. That's Quinn's job. So no, he's consistently the best one, and I'm with you. I'm glad that we are at this point of we need to win this game against these guys. And you and I have talked about this over the last 3 or 4 seasons where the season had fallen apart every single time for Washington by the time we get to this game. You know what? It's finally time for Washington to beat up on the Cowboys for once. That it's time for us to embarrass them on the last week of the season and send them packing into the offseason because how many times did it happen with us? And I know, the Sam Howell game, they won. And, but occasionally that game was just meaningless and they still embarrassed us. So let's flip it around for once.
I think this is valid. All right. They've won the last few games, but they've won making a bazillion mistakes.
Yep.
So they're fortunate to have won each and every single one of them. Like, they should have blown out the Saints. That score shouldn't have been close. But because of all those penalties, they nearly lost. They had 5 turnovers against Philadelphia. Somehow they won. Last week, again, 8 million penalties. Otherwise, I'm not sure that game goes to overtime or ends up being that close. So when they say we're not playing well enough to do what we want to do, they're right. Like, they're totally right. They need to keep playing. And the other thing is, too, and I think this goes back to, while a lot of us, me included, are trying to bask in the glow of a season that is surprising and great, Quinn does not want to take his foot off the gas. He doesn't want a word season yet. He doesn't want the team to think they accomplished what they can accomplish yet. And I appreciate that too, that he's going, we're not done here, guys. Like, we made the playoffs. I know everybody's happy. They're buying you slices of pizza at Wegmans. People are psyched, but that's not the end game. The end game's to win the whole thing. And that may or may not be realistic, but we don't care. Like, we're here now. Don't take your foot off the gas. And I think they're right to think that way. Like, the Eagles, what they're doing to me is really, really dangerous. That when you take your foot off the gas, even if there's nothing to play for in playoff seeding, but to take away achievement from the team in the locker room, to me, it's a dangerous game to play. And what Washington is saying is, if someone gets hurt, maybe we look stupid because we qualified, but we don't feel like we're in position to take our foot off the gas. Detroit didn't do it last week either. Detroit did not have to win that game against San Francisco. It didn't matter. Detroit did not have to win that game. They didn't care. They just kept going. And I like this attitude for this team too, who I think needs to not feel complacent because this team has not been in this position in a very long time.
Wait, what's the reference to Wegmans buying pizza? Did that actually
I don't know.
happen? Oh,
First thing came to mind.
I was like, what?
I don't know.
It was oddly
down the
specific.
street.
It was oddly specific. Is all.
I know. I don't know. It just came to mind. I'm like, what reward would I give them? And it's a dumb reward. So, whatever.
I was like, did someone buy you pizza at Wegmans?
No, but I'm getting a lot, this Bram Cam thing. Oh, yeah. I'm like, no, trust me, I like it, but people are being very nice to me lately. It's wonderful to have people be nice to you. Strangers be nice to you all the time.
All right. I was like, that was a weird one. Red flag went up. Sorry. I just had to chime in there.
Anyway, I hope they don't stay complacent. And that's been the whole motto this week is don't hit me with how much you like what we're doing and what we've done. I don't want to hear it. I will say this too. I saw this note. If Dan Quinn, if they win this weekend, 12 wins, he and Joe Gibbs will be the only coaches ever in franchise history with a 12-win season.
Wow.
And he'll have done it in his first year with a rookie quarterback. It's insane.
I'm sure expectations will be completely normal next year. It's okay.
See, this is why I keep telling people, they're like, this is kind of like the Nats World Series run. Whatever we have from here, it'll never be like this year. where every week's a heart attack and they win these ways. I don't think I think I'm just emotionally where everybody else is this whole year. We're going to have different expectations next year, frankly. Like, there's no way around that. Like, we are. So it's going to be different. Anyway, for the game this weekend, I said this before last time, and I'm going to just tell you again. Just don't kick the ball to Turpin, okay? Just don't do it. Don't do it. And I'll give you a historical reference. He has the chance to have the highest kick return average ever this weekend. He's number 2 all time. One of them was a cheat code Madden 99-yard touchdown return against us. Don't kick it to him. They don't have many weapons. Just don't do it. Kick it out of bounds. Kick it out of the end zone. Kick it away from him. I don't care. Don't kick the ball to this guy.
Yeah, no, I'm still traumatized by that return the last time we played them. So, yeah, just don't let him touch the ball. It's not hard. Don't let him touch the ball.
No. Rico Dowdle's actually been very good for like the last 4 or 5 weeks. Anybody who's had him in like a fantasy league and stuck with him probably ended up getting rewarded by that. He's a 1,000-yard rusher now. He runs the ball very hard. Tyler Smith, who's going to the Pro Bowl, didn't play in the first game. So obviously, I don't care who their quarterback is. They're going to run the ball a lot, obviously, without CeeDee Lamb and all that stuff. So can we slow him down? And honestly, I think this is another good test. The run defense for Washington's been bad all year. This is not Bijan Robinson or Saquon Barkley or Alvin Kamara, but he's been good, and their run game's been good. So show me you can slow this down as we head into the playoffs.
No, exactly right. This is also, this is the weak point of the defense, right? They've pretty much said to some teams, we're going to let you run so you don't pass. So I would like to see them at least slow down a normal running back.
Trey Lance might be starting. Now, we don't know. The Cowboys have been coy about it. They're not saying. There is a report in Dallas that Cooper Rush is in line for a performance bonus if he plays a certain amount of plays, which some people are suggesting putting 2 and 2 together, that they just don't want to give him that money, which again, this goes back to the is Jerry cheap thing, and I don't think he is. I don't know why everyone thinks he is. There's no examples of stars that have walked out of there and gotten paid in other places. He may mishandle some of these contract negotiations, but he does end up paying people. So I don't believe that's what's behind it. I do believe that they probably should just play him to see. I think we're going to roast them if he plays. So I don't know, but I would get it if they throw him out there because they just have to take a look at him before he hits free agency.
Yeah, I wouldn't think this is about money, actually. I would think this is like, we have a game that doesn't matter. Let's see what we've got with him. Sometimes practice and being, thrown in as a starter doesn't help a guy, but when you just say, hey, this game doesn't mean anything, go out there and ball, see what they've got in him. I would look at it as an incentive. Also, I think they really like Cooper Rush there. How long has he been there in Dallas? Like 8 years or something
like that. And he's a free agent too.
Yeah.
And they probably made their mind up on him. I would assume they'll bring him back as a backup again.
Exactly. Yeah. And so Jerry might even be like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like, we'll put that bonus. So as a roster bonus, if you don't get it or something you know what I mean? Like, I just don't think Jerry's penny pinching.
They'll make good on that. Yeah. There's not a penny pinching organization. A couple other things. You have to go after their secondary now. I mean, Diggs isn't out there. Bland's a pretty good player, but he's a number 1 now. This guy on the other side of the field is getting roasted week after week after week. Jonathan Wilson's been in and out of the lineup. Let's see what their motivation is after they lost a week ago. You have to go after them. And whoever 25 is covering, you have to go after them. So I think there's a big, if they protect better, which they did not do in the first meeting. Odigizua had a big game. Micah had a good game. A lot of pressures. He should. If they protect a little bit better, then I think there's a big passing day for Jaden. If they go in that direction, we'll see. And the last one is just this. I mean, Terry McLaurin is tied with 4 others for the most receiving touchdowns single season in franchise history. He gets 1 more. He sets a new standard. No season's complete without breaking some records and beating Dallas. You have an opportunity to do both here. So hopefully he'll get TD 13 this weekend.
No, I mean, you have to think this is like part of the game plan, right? That once they get near down there, he's going to be the main target and or take a shot or two in the first half. This has to happen. I mean, he's so close here. They've got to get this, and they've got to do it in Dallas. They 100%. This has got to be in the game plan.
If they find number 25 covering him, I think that's the time to dial up the shot, too.
Yes.
All right. Take a quick break. Bram and Callow, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. All right, welcome back. Saturday football will determine the AFC North, albeit it doesn't look like there's really much to discuss here. The Ravens are playing the Browns. The Browns beat them earlier this year, but they're on quarterback 8 or whatever they are now. And I think the spread was 18 or some kind of.
It went up to 20.
It's 20? That's very unusual in an NFL game. So I'm going to believe Vegas on this one. And the Steelers have no real shot to win the division. They blew it down the stretch. It's on them. Baltimore wins the division.
My favorite stat on this one is because it's Bailey Zappi, right? That will be starting for the Browns.
Yeah.
That is a milestone. That is quarterback number 40 since 1999.
So they got us beat?
I don't know if they have us beat, but I just know that that's quarterback number 40.
I don't think we have 40. We probably have about 25, though. We have to,
I'd have to go
through the list, and somebody I'm sure will DM me the list any minute now. But yes.
We just have a couple of those years though, where they started 4 or 5 in the same year though.
We had the year where Josh Johnson, Mark Sanchez. We had 4 or 5 that year.
That was the first Alex Smith year. So you had Alex Smith,
right.
Colt McCoy. Like you said, Josh Johnson.
Right, they
Mark
both
Sanchez.
got hurt.
Yeah,
right.
Mark Sanchez. Then the second time Alex Smith played, that was Dwayne Haskins, Case Keenum, Alex Smith, Taylor Heineke. So
right,
that's 8 right there. So we've had a couple of those years.
We had a couple of those years.
Where it's been a lot.
Also tomorrow will be Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. So Pittsburgh actually needs to win to stay at 5, in my opinion, because you get Houston. If you stay at 5, you get Houston. If you don't stay at 5, good luck to you with those other teams. So I would think they want to win. Bengals obviously need to win and then pray for 2 losses. They need Denver and Miami to lose. Good luck with that. This is hard. I'll take Pittsburgh here to win, actually. I don't love the Bengals defense. I think Russ cooks a little bit in this game. Get back on track. They go in as a 5 and probably beat Houston in the first round.
This was tough because the Bengals have beaten one winning team all year long. Pittsburgh has fallen off in a way that I don't think really any of us saw, just the way that offense is going.
I do remember, though. They've played division games every week.
Yep.
That when that schedule came out, that every division game was post week 11 or something. I went, that's trouble. That's real trouble for anybody.
Yeah. Let me lean Bengals here. I'm just going to lean Bengals here because the Steelers are already in. Let's see how good they actually are. The Bengals, I think, are feeling it a little bit. Joe Burrow knows that if he gets in, no one wants to play him. I'll lean Bengals here, but I'm not confident at all in that pick.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Steelers run the ball very effectively against Cincinnati. And then it'll come down to, does Burrow light them up?
Right.
And if he does, then that's a bad sign for Pittsburgh going into the playoffs.
That's
and
right.
if they limit him a little bit, then I think it's a good sign that they could win their opener. I mean, I think whoever gets Houston is going to catch a break with a division winner the way they've been playing.
Yep.
All right. So now Sunday, we kick off 1:00. So do a number of the other ones that matter for us. Falcons and Bucks are both 1 p.m. games. Tampa Bay can get to the 3 seed. They need to win and have the Rams lose, but the Rams are not playing all of their starters, including Matthew Stafford, and the Buccaneers are playing New Orleans. New Orleans is on whatever quarterback they're on now. We saw them. They got blown out recently. The Buccaneers put over 50 on them the first time that they played them. I will say this, though, and someone mentioned this, and this stuff matters. What happened in New Orleans the other day is going to motivate the Saints because it's going to be brought up. And, sports can be very healing in a lot of ways. And so with that one caveat, I buy that the Saints are going to show up and play really hard. Had that not happened a few days ago, that incident on Bourbon Street had not happened, I would think this score could be 40-0. But because of that, I will, there will be some motivation in that locker room to show up for the city. And I believe that stuff matters. I still think Tampa Bay is going to win, but maybe not as easy as I thought as of 4 or 5 days ago. Falcons made their own bed here. The Falcons beat the Buccaneers twice, have a better record in the division, and can't win it because of their own failings. And so I have no sympathy for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Saints will show up. I still just don't think they're good enough roster-wise.
Correct.
Tampa Bay's also been on a heater.
Especially with the quarterback play. Correct.
Yeah, Baker has been like as much of an MVP candidate this last month. Not the entire season, but this last month, his numbers are
he has a real case to say he got jobbed for the Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
he threw more touchdown passes than anybody else.
Exactly. So I don't like. I'm with you. I think they play hard, but Tampa's just been too good. Like they're hitting their stride a little bit in the end of the season here. Baker is hitting his stride at the end of the season here.
So like the bad news for the Rams is they have to win. They have no choice because they have to win the division. Otherwise, they may still lose. They probably will lose the division if they don't win. That gets them likely to 3. We'll have to see. I'll get to the Rams Seahawks. I think is a toss-up, honestly, because Seattle's out. So you don't really know how they're going to play this weekend. The other early stuff that's going on that we'll be watching, the Packers play the Bears. If the Packers lose, no matter what happens in our game, we stay at 6. I wouldn't expect that to happen. However, they may not feel like they have a lot to gain here. And I haven't heard, are they playing all their guys? Are they going to pull guys early because they don't want to get anybody hurt? You know, Jordan Love's has had a season where he's been in and out of the lineup all year. They may not go full bore here. So them losing to Chicago, who haven't won a game since the Hail Mary, actually wouldn't shock me if the Packers don't go full we have to win this game mode. So we may end up just kind of cruising into it either way, even though I do expect Washington to win because of how serious they're taking getting the 6th seed.
Yeah, I mean, the other part here is that I think you always have to put a factor in here is it's a cold weather game. Do you really want to wheel Jordan Love out there with him dealing with some injuries earlier this season? I mean, I kind of look at it like that. I wouldn't want to risk it. And look, this is something we haven't really touched on heading into the playoffs. Vegas doesn't even really like home field advantage anymore. Like, if you've noticed this year with spreads and stuff, nobody gets the automatic 3 anymore. You do in close games where you're in the same tier, but this is the first year where we've really seen it that there's no such thing as home field advantage anymore. And in fact, the stats back that up, and that's why Vegas hasn't done that. So I think maybe there's some of this too, where maybe these teams are just saying, we're going to roll the dice. We'll use this as our bye week to get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, I could see the Packers not running Jacobs that much, maybe pulling Love early. That wouldn't surprise me. And so then the Bears could win. You know, and I think so that's a possibility this weekend. Last red zone specials of the year. We've got Patriots Buffalo. That doesn't matter because Buffalo's locked and Pats or whatever. Titans Houston. That doesn't matter because Houston's locked. Jags Indianapolis. I don't want to hear from you people. Neither side. Pat McAfee's killing you. Yep. Jaguar said they had the best roster ever. They don't.
Yep.
I don't want to hear from either one of you guys until next year.
Did you see the Athletic piece on the Colts, though? We'll have to probably talk about it next week. Did you happen to see that?
Killed them.
Another takedown of there's no direction here. Nobody knows what they're doing.
Well, did you see, McAfee went after him and said, guys show up late. There's no accountability. And Shane Steichen's answer to that was not everybody shows up on time, which is a really bad answer.
Really bad.
Really bad answer.
Thanks for confirming there, Shane.
Yeah. He's like, listen, he doesn't have a point except a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
So
he's
that
not wrong.
stinks. All of a sudden, that stinks of a coaching change.
I mean, remember I told you when it came to Rodgers and Cousins, my wild card to get one of those was the Colts because we just don't know what that team is going to be. They're a mess. They've been a mess since Luck.
And also, that also would lead to one of my favorite things, a Jim Irsay press conference.
Oh, the best. The best. Appointment
You never know what's going to happen.
That's right.
Let's see. The Eagles do not want history. They are twisting themselves in pretzels, explaining why this is a good thing for the team. How, you'd have to put the whole offensive line out there to do this. And I think it's a mistake. And I actually feel bad for Saquon Barkley. I do. I think he deserves better than this. I think he deserves better from the Giants. I think he deserves better from this. And for every person who keeps writing me that it's a 17-game season, Eric Dickerson broke a record in game 15 of 16, and he broke the record of somebody who did it in 14. So it's the single season rush record. There is no season that will be 16 games anymore. You can either have it or you cannot. They're choosing not to have it. And I think it's a mistake. And I feel bad for this guy because he's not going to have another season like this. And he could go down in history. And I don't understand why that organization doesn't want, until whenever it's broken, clips of somebody in their uniform doing this. I don't understand it.
It was funny. We talked about this, and then on Twitter, somebody reposted the Adrian Peterson game from like 12 years ago, where remember he was 9 yards short of breaking the record. And the Vikings had to beat, I want to say it was the Packers. I think they beat the Packers and they won on a last-second field goal. And Pam Oliver pulls him aside and she's like, 9 yards short, but you guys are going to the playoffs. How does it feel? And he's like, I can't even process it right now.
Yes.
And all it reminded me of was Adrian Peterson was 9 yards away and he didn't do it. And here's Saquon with a full game ready to go. It's mind-blowing to me that they just tapped out so fast of it is all.
And for those also, just to point this out, Eric Dickerson broke the record in game 15 of 16, broke OJ's record. He played in the 16th game. He rushed for almost 100 yards in the 16th game.
Right.
And, oh, by the way, they were locked in the playoffs as a wild card and couldn't win the division.
Right.
So, you know what? I would not for a second have blamed Saquon and the Eagles for going for this. I was totally for, if you're backed up by your goal line or you're at the 5-yard line, there's not a lot of yards to gain and you just want to avoid collisions for him. Okay, fine. I get that. But between the 20s, you can't go for a 100-yard game. And then the second he breaks it, pull him. Like, come on. Come on.
How about they don't get him the record and then the Commanders and Eagles face off in the NFC Championship game? How about that?
Please let that happen. Let's go. Let's see. The Broncos are winning in and they get Wentz.
Your boy.
They get Wentz.
You get your boy.
Yeah. We should send Scott to cover that.
Oh, God.
That would be amazing. So the Broncos are probably going to win because they have to.
Correct.
And who knows what his passes look like these days. They're not going to look like Mahomes. I can tell you that.
The last vision I have of that guy was not being able to make screen passes. So
that's right.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Late red zone specials. Chargers, Raiders, albeit one of them is a playoff team, but the Raiders kind of don't matter. And the Chargers are going to be, well, they're going to watch what Pittsburgh does. If Pittsburgh loses, they can leapfrog them to 5. They could win a playoff game if they go down to Houston and get the 5. Niners, Cardinals, doesn't matter. That's a surprise this year that the Niners don't matter this year. But that to me is all injuries. And if you want to see something funny, go watch the question asked of Kyle Shanahan yesterday of his own personal responsibility for the team's record this year and how he's just like, don't even ask me something like that, you twit. Basically.
Let me ask you a first take question here.
Yeah.
Niners, Cardinals. Do both of those coaches keep their jobs?
I don't think Shanahan's going anywhere. I'd be maybe he wants to go to Chicago. Remember there was those rumors? Remember
ownership before the season was pissed.
They didn't
they're spending all this money.
He'll get a job tomorrow.
Of course, yeah. He'll be on 5 private jets in a day
tomorrow.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So no, I don't think so. Cardinals.
Take the bus. Take the bus.
I think they have a more interesting decision about Kyler than they do really about him.
Okay.
I wouldn't change him, honestly. I think those guys play hard. I wouldn't change him personally.
Okay. They were a coin flip. I mean, they were literally 500.
They were.
They were not. I mean, there was no like rhyme or reason of who they were playing each week either.
Jimmy G's back, baby. Jimmy G is back, baby. Jimmy G's going to start for Matthew Stafford against the Seahawks, which is dangerous game to play here because if they lose and Tampa Bay wins, they're now playing the loser of Minnesota, Detroit, or maybe they don't care. They don't see a difference between them or us, which is how they're kind of playing it. I don't think this means they definitively lose. The Seahawks have nothing to play for. So Who knows what's going to happen this weekend?
Yeah, like I said, I think this boils down to these teams want to use this as a rest week, and they don't really care who they play. I think that's what I've settled in on with some of the decisions this week is the week of rest is more important than picking your opponent, essentially. So,
biggest Broadway bomb ever ends as Rodgers and company play their final game together. Rodgers finally, I can't believe it, a moment of reality and clarity, actually stated he knows it's possible this is his last game there and potentially last game anywhere. He said he's going to take time to go away and think about things, but he doesn't have the leverage he used to have because there's not going to be as many teams that are going to be interested in him. So he realizes he needs to be single and ready to mingle if he wants to mingle. And I think he's fully aware that he is not coming back to the Jets. So
my favorite graphic of the weekend was every quarterback's EPA from highest to lowest. I don't know if you saw this graphic. The highest of the week was Drew Lock. He was the best quarterback of the week, which is amazing.
yeah,
The lowest of the quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers. He was the worst quarterback in the league this last weekend.
this
Have
is,
fun with that.
you know, what's the famous Broadway show, The Producers, is about producing a bomb purposefully.
Right, exactly.
Yep, that's what happened here. Good job, Woody. All right, last one, cage match, Vikings-Lions. I think winner gets coach of the year. Actually,
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I think you're
winner
about right.
gets coach of the year. Winner also gets a bye. Loser, because of the dumb seating, actually has to play on the road next week, which seems like a harsh punishment for winning 14 games. And I would love for the competition committee to change that, but it is what it is. And as it turns out, Sunday Night Football has a doozy because that matters. Bye week or play on the road, potentially through the playoffs, that's going to motivate you. So I got Minnesota here because I don't like the Lions defense right now. But it could be, I think the Lions have to score a lot to win. It could be a high-scoring game. Very possible.
My loose prediction on this is whoever wins, this is going to be the Monday night game next week. That's my prediction.
Sounds about right.
Because they cannot put them on Saturday.
You mean the loser? Because
the
winner is going to be the one
seed.
Yeah.
The loser is going to be on Monday Night Football next week.
That's probably.
My loose prediction.
Especially if it's Detroit.
Right, because you're going to have a literal 14-win team.
Welcome to 2025. Detroit is must-see TV.
That's right. Yeah.
Amazing.
Hell yeah, they are. Yeah.
Everybody in the NFL wants to see Jaden versus them.
Oh,
wow. What a new world we're in.
That'd be wonderful.
All right, take a quick break. Bray wants to show ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. All right, a few quick thoughts as we head into what will be Black Monday. Fortunately, not here. We don't have that this year. I saw someone tweet, new GM, don't need one. New coach, don't need one. New quarterback, don't need one. What a world we're in. Wow. This is going to be an easy breezy trip to Dallas and back. Get ready for our playoff game and not worry about any of that stuff for the first time in, I don't know, my adult lifetime. It's great.
This is why at the beginning of the show I said it feels weird that it's the last week of the season because usually I'm counting down the weeks, I don't know, 2 months ago when the off season's coming. And in this case,
what do you think of that Indiana quarterback? Do you think he's good
enough?
enough?
That's right. Yeah, it's the worst. And now I'm like, wow, I just get to worry about football in January. That's great. That's nice. That's nice to do.
As for the others, Ron Rivera and Louis Riddick both interviewed with the Jets. Louis Riddick wants to be a GM bad.
Sure. Yes.
He's great on TV.
Yep.
He has not worked in a front office in a long time now. So if that's the way you want to go, I wish you luck. He's very smart. I know him. I like him a lot. It would be a hard thing for me to fathom to go into the front office now, especially with an abject mess. But it's not like I don't think he knows what he's talking about. I do. So I wish him luck with that. With Ron with the New York media, I would watch those press conferences every week. The guys would happen in OTAs.
Yeah, your over-under press conference is like 1.5 of when he blows up. I mean,
OTAs.
Right away, yeah.
And then when he picks his Carson Wentz, Sam Howell, whoever it is up there, Oh, he thinks he had it hard here? Oh, wait till he's on Boomer's show or Tiki show or the New York Post columnist shows up. Holy cow.
Two-parter here. What will they think when he goes, guys, this is a rebuild. This is going to take some time.
5 years.
5 years, even though his roster would be great. Two, did you see who they signed this week?
No.
They signed Jamin Davis and claimed Fedarian Mathis off waivers.
Maybe he is going there.
Nikki Jabalo, I think, was the one that posted that, was like, they claimed Mathis, they signed Davis, and they interviewed Ron this week. What's up with that?
They're going to trade for Cam Curl next week.
That's right. Yes, exactly.
I bet they call up Seattle and see if Hal's available now.
So,
let's go, Jets.
Good luck with all of that. Yeah.
Jets.
Good luck with that.
Holy cow. Last thing real quick. I'll do more on this next week. Do you buy that Poles doesn't want Ben Johnson because he thinks Ben Johnson's going to run him out of town for Lance Newmark if they hire him? I buy that he doesn't want to hire Ben Johnson because Ben Johnson's going to want his front office.
Yes.
Buy that.
100% buy that. The Bears fall into that same category that I'm getting at here with Kliff, where Kliff isn't going to go to specific situations unless it's on his terms. I'm thinking Ben Johnson is the same way. He's going, I'm not going to that franchise unless I get things my way walking in the door. Because you look at what that team and that franchise has done, you don't want anything to do with whatever the past regimes are. So, yes, I 100% believe that. Yes.
Maybe the Bears will hire Ron Rivera, ex-Bear.
Oh, my God.
Ron Rivera.
Good luck.
Remember what he said? What's the difference between winning and losing? Quarterback. Oh, man.
Stupid. So stupid.
Montez is there. He's waiting for him.
Yeah. Ron, that rebuild really took a while, and then this crew did it in a year. So
5 years.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday. Bram wants to show you ESPN 630, the Sports Capital.